We're going to discuss the global wholesale telco, big words, and at the mobile roaming industry in the digital transformation age. Um, to do this, I'm very honored and also pleased to have these senior experts sitting next to me on this podium for you, sharing their thoughts, their ideas, and maybe some scoops or strategy thingies we might hear. So let's hope that will work. We also would like to say hi to the audience out there. And I would like to start with you, Sonia, to
With me?
yeah, of course. Just she told me, Eric, don't ask me anything. No, but to introduce you quickly, who are you? Who do you work for? And not why, but you can start. Sonia, please.
Okay. First of all, thank you for having me today. My name is Sonia Sifo. I work at Sparkle as a sales manager. I work closely with the operators, service provider, and the provider across the international wholesale market. And I am delighted to have this discussion today to share with you the Sparkle perspective in the market. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Natalia?
Hello. Well, first of all, thank you for having me. It's an honor to be in the panel with such a wonderful people discussing a very important topic in my opinion. As a head of the wholesale, I work for a global hub. My name is Natalia, and happy to be here.
Thank you so much. Michael, again.
Don't I? Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Michael Merkin, and I am one of the representatives of the company called Telecom Communications. We are one of the sponsors of this event here today, tomorrow, and Wednesday. In general, we're working with wholesale voice and SMS. In addition, IoT, eSIM, SIM cards, and travel-related services that we're going to actually talk about today as well. So I'm the MVNO enabler. So we help companies to become MVNOs themselves, and working closely with mobile operators worldwide in terms of like IMSI leasings and connectivity. So happy to be here. Happy to see all of you. Thank you so much for having me here.
We will tell you afterwards if we were happy.
That's right.
That's
Feedback
how it
is
works
much
here.
appreciated.
Thank you so much, Michael, and honored having you again on the panel since this morning. Anurag, over to you.
Hi, everyone. This is Anurag Agarwal. I am the Chief Business Officer of a messaging player based out of India. It's called LMS. We've been very active in the domestic space for nearly 20 years. But in the last 2 to 3 years, we've started becoming very active internationally. So I bring with me a certain level of experience from my past companies, which have been purely international messaging in nature. And that's what I'm focusing on out here, to build the international business profile of the company that I'm working for. And lovely to be here on this August panel. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And let's go now to somebody who does not need any introduction anymore, especially not because he once or twice actually received the Lifetime Achievement Award, being the telecom guru level, the stratospherical level of the industry. Edwin, over to you.
Hi, thanks, Eric. My name is Edwin van Eerland. Indeed, one of the dinosaurs in the industry, close to 20 years in iBasis. Now, as the acting Group Chief Operating Officer, and except for finance and people, I've done everything in the company already.
I know you did.
So indeed, but with the recent 2 acquisitions, the Telstar International one, which was announced earlier this year, and the recent one with Bouygues Telecom, which we are now migrating to the network. Unfortunately for the competitors, we're now finally, after 20 years, #1 in the world. Let's say
It was about time.
It was about time, and let's say, but BTS is also close, so we need to. I know.
And we have Mr. Pradas in the house.
So
welcome.
But the other competitors are not there anymore. No,
because you wipe them out. That's what you do, right?
Capture market share.
That's exactly that's the nice. Thank you very much, Edwin, and fantastic to have you. So, talking about the global wholesale market, guys. And Edwin, if I may start actually with you because of your helicopter view and over the market since the last 2 months. The current and future market challenges which we see in our industry, and what are the challenges that you see, and how to adapt those, besides taking over Telstra and Bouygues, their business, but how to cope with navigating in the shifts of the consumer behavior, because it's shifting. Regulation is also changing. That there are some pressures, and as you mentioned, pinpointing on BTS and SBTS actually, competitive landscape. What are your thoughts?
That's a long question. I'll try to keep it short, but
Shorter than my question? Impossible.
Let's not forget in the past, everybody was stating voice is dead, and look where we are right now. There are a gazillion amount of people on this floor and downstairs, and apparently it simply shows that the business is still alive. There's one big but, and the big but is, of course, is it also alive from a margin perspective, operational cost and EBITDA perspective, and a cash flow perspective? And there is where we see challenges. If you look at voice, let's say the traditional voice has migrated away, and you need really to differentiate in flash calling, text to speech, and that kind of mechanisms, let's say, to and call center traffic, let's say, to differentiate in the voice landscape. On the mobile side, we see a gigantic explosion of the data need. If you look at the World Cup at this moment, and sorry for the Italians not being there, but
Again, for the third time in a row.
But we see a huge explosion of the data, of the roaming data already in the US, and let's say just 1 week before we were ready, let's say, to facilitate that with backup transmission capacity, and let's say where 10 gig was normal, you need to upgrade now that to 100 gig or even more. And so the market and the business is changing. If you look into SMS or messaging, everybody thought, okay, SMS is going to change the landscape, P2P, A2P, and then, the famous word RCS. RCS was dormant for 5-6 years, and it became, let's say, active again. And that's a game changer. Is it really a game changer? Question mark. And other people might answer that question. But the good part is, if you look at IoT and fixed wireless access, it took us 6 years, but now it's finally lifting off as we speak. And whether we call it IoT or travel SIM or travel eSIM or whatever, I think we see now that, let's say, the basis of our, let's say, market is facilitating that as well. So, yeah, traditional voice, let's say, you need to change very rapidly. And I think we have become a data analytical company more and a data storage company more than we are a business generating company as more, because not all of these examples will necessarily generate more revenue. Let's say they are there, let's say, to differentiate and to survive and to create survivability. That's the top line. If you look at the OPEX line and if you look at other elements, you need to automate and you need, let's say, to make it smarter. And AI will help as long as you put a human intelligence on top of that. I just returned from Hyderabad, whereby I was very proud to see by NOC, my SOC, by customer service desk facilitating 150 people. But we can't do that if we had that same situation, same organization in the US, because it would have, let's say, tenfold the cost of what we are facing right now. And that's the reality. Focusing more on cash. We are independent. We are not linked to one of the partners. In the past, iBasis was owned by KPN. KPN sold it to Alexander Pebbero and investors. So my investors are only looking the cash component as such, which is a complete different element in our industry. So to keep the cash line there, accounts receivable, accounts payable is there. So the entire landscape, let's say from 20 years ago till now, has completely evolved. And okay, I'm not the youngest anymore, but it gives me still a lot of energy, let's say, to facilitate that. And that is, let's say, a long answer to a long question. Sorry.
But you know what? You still look good.
Thank you.
You know, after all those years. And on the voice side, guys, I still call my mom on her fixed line every Sunday. So voice is not dead, you know? Sonja?
I would like to underline your statement on regulation. In fact, we have to think that the customer want to connect globally, but we have a problem with the local regulation in IoT. If you think that we have a growth on regulation market, local regulation market. So in Sparkle, for example, we bypass this problem with the local agreement. If you think in Brazil, for example, we have permanent roaming for IoT with Anatel, for example. So this is our goal to bypass all the local issue on permanent roaming.
Okay.
Okay, this is all.
Okay, cool. Michael, what's your take? What do you see?
What do I see? What do I see is lower margins, unfortunately, on everything. This is what I see.
Well, increase your price.
At the same time, I agree totally with you about the local regulation, because I've spoken with several MNOs in terms of integrating their IMSIs for our customers, for example, for IoT included. And let's say even big ones like China Mobile, they told me that they're going to LATAM and working with local operators there in order to reduce the regulations, basically, and making them as the end customer, so to say, and they would be like the overhead. So that, and probably the demand of the customers to have connectivity immediately without thinking that, you know, it takes amount of time, effort, and money to do it and to prepare it for them. That's another thing. And IoT is a big thing. I mean, we're doing a lot of development there ourselves. Might not be like a big deal for somebody, but we've spent the last 5 years making like a super SIM, I would say, which is a SIM card on which you can load eSIMs. Any number of eSIMs, you can remove them, put them back, so that you can make a water bottle IoT compatible or something, as long as there's electricity going to it. So we're looking into that direction, and I think there is money in it. Voice is still alive, no matter what everybody says, and as everybody rightfully put it out, it's just different segments right now that have to be looked up upon.
Okay. My friend, what's your take on it? What's your
Hang
take
on,
on it?
I thought I was going to be last. So Natalia, you're going to be last. Not much left to say, I feel. But I think there's a lot which has been spoken out here. For me personally, I think one fact that we see coming up more and more, and I think it will increase, and I think Edwin out here is the best testimony for it, is consolidation. And why is consolidation necessary? Because of something which we've spoken about, lowering margins. And why are margins lowering? Because one is not innovating, or most are not innovating. And hence why is something like voice still not dying its death? Because some are innovating. So what I personally see is that within this humongous crowd of players which are existing, there are a handful only who are innovating, and it's the innovators who eventually lead, and they become the consolidators, and everybody else eventually just folds within. And when I say innovation, let me also be very candid about it. And I'm not so much in the IoT and eSIM space, but at least from the messaging point of view, I can say innovations are sadly happening in two fronts. Okay, there is a lot of innovation for the good that's happening in the industry. There's a lot of innovation for your own selfish means, which is also happening in the industry. And both these set of innovators are thriving. And those which are not erring towards either of these sides are eventually getting squeezed, and the margins are squeezing, as Mike rightly said. So eventually, I feel that this industry will see more and more consolidation. The players which continue to innovate on either of the sides will keep thriving. And eventually, I'm hoping for a future where even the negative innovations which I spoke about. So let's say messaging, for example. There's still a lot of fraud in messaging which continues to happen. And in the last few years, we saw that it went through a major blip and it started coming down as well. But the players made a lot of money during that period. And today, these are the players which are buying other companies which didn't follow the same routine. And because of that, these players have become bigger. But I'm hoping that with time, regulations are catching up. With time, technology is catching up. AI is catching up in this field, for example. And we are seeing this sort of negative innovation reduce, but it's still prevalent. But at the same time, the other forms of innovation, like for example, Ed, when you spoke about that in voice, there is so much of innovation that's happening. I think that is a positive move, which will take us through into the next wave of growth. And I feel that it's very important for us to keep that innovation spirit on. And if we keep that on, I think the industry moves ahead.
Okay, thank you. Natalia, where do you see the challenge? And let's bridge it for what Agra already mentioned is what are then for you the key drivers for growth? Okay, so what are the challenges? And what are the key drivers for growth?
Yeah. So, well, Global Hub is originally just an SMS. We're pure SMS company, used to be. Right now we're entering voice as well. And I'm really happy to hear that voice is not dying. Thank you so much. That was like, yeah. So that's about the adaptation, I would say, because we've been an SMS company all along. We have some secure deals with the exclusivity with mobile operators, but now we are more approaching the customer side, the enterprise side. And what we see is the customers, they want a bundle. They want everything at the same time. They do not want to worry about a thing. They want to have a company and they have a single point of contact where they would come and say like, okay, I want this for messaging, I want this for voice, I want this for alternative solutions, etc., etc.
And for half of the price.
Of course, it's in a very good condition, you know. That's a very good approach if that's only half price. However, we still need to drive, we still need to work and to adapt to those things. And from our side, I would answer this question from like two perspectives, because when we're talking about voice and SMS from the mobile operator side, they are interested in the not the margins, but revenues. And for us in the middle, we're interested more in the margins. So these are two-sided things and perspectives. So I would say the best way to approach it is to adapt and to work on the solutions that would keep market happy.
Okay, Michael, revenue growth. What are the key drivers?
Well, I would say that companies in general becoming more widespread in terms of not just being like a tube of connectivity, but a service provider in its general sense. So as Natalia rightfully put it out, the need for different types of connectivity, different types of like numeration, connectivity for the internet, I don't know, extra numbers, anything like that. So the more diversification there is, the more collaboration between MVNOs and MNOs there is, that's the key driver in my opinion. Some players cover smaller parts of the segments, larger players maintain the tube, I would call it, that can be built upon, and additional VAS services can be created for customers who want them today. They want them today, they don't want them tomorrow, they want them now. And listening to our customers is actually what we need to do to make sure that we all successfully have our margins and our revenue.
But do we in actual fact really listen to our customers?
We do. I can say it like that because the smaller the company, the easier it is to listen to your customer. For the bigger companies, it just takes a longer period of time, unfortunately. But they make the big decisions.
Okay. All right. By the way, if you want to interact with us, I mean, it's an open floor, sort of open source, almost, right? Because I'm still there. So if you have any questions, please raise your hand and we'll make sure that you can ask your questions in between. No problem. Edwin, looking beyond a little bit of the operational efficiency, how do you think AI can unlock new business models for the telco operators?
I'm not sure if it immediately can contribute to, let's say, unlock new business models. At least where the gain can be is
The OpEx
absolutely
side?
on the OpEx side. And that is also where we put a lot of effort in, let's say, but you need to do that in a structured way. If you don't add the human intelligence part, it can go in every direction. Let's say the good part is we have the iBasis Academy created in India. And I'm super proud every year when there are 20 youngsters coming in and they teach me everything about the LLM agent and what they can do with that at high school. And it's amazing. And we structure that and we let them explore. And that results that, let's say, the development time in certain advanced technology is significantly reducing from months into weeks into days. But at the same time, the downside is that the amount of tokens you put into Claude or Anthropic is going to increase. So your cost is sometimes unmanageable in the beginning. But okay, we learn from that going forward. It's also when you get a trouble ticket in or you get an email in, you automatically want to have that allocated, let's say, to a certain group of complaints. So by default, you can accelerate the troubleshooting and reduce your MTTR. That's where it can help. With the pricing, we know that our processes are not always, let's say, that efficient from the past because we had those legacy systems developed. And that's where in the pricing, automatic pricing, AI can absolutely contribute. Also in the reporting part, if you want to have a latency report over all your POPs in the world, in the past it took me, let's say, 2 weeks to develop that. And now it takes 2 days. And I have a latency report in a split second, let's say, which we need for our customers. So AI, let's say, definitely will provide additional gain in your OpEx and reduce your OpEx as long as you keep, let's say, control of the spend as well. If you don't put that spend, let's say, and I'm also responsible for the ITIS in the company, let's say, and they have to ask me, let's say, all the business account for Anthropic and Claude, but also with Microsoft Teams. You can easily give it to everybody, but do know it's 350 euros per month per seat and times the amount of people. And that is the cost component what we are facing. And people forget that easily. And then you don't use all the benefits. At least certain generations do not. And that is what we need to control. But I challenge other people if there are business opportunities as well. Let's say at this moment, I don't see them, only with generated AI fraud traffic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Unfortunately.
Well,
So when you talk about AI, I recently read something which was very insightful, that there are 3 parts to any activity. And the problem is we end up using AI for all 3 parts. It's what you want, how you go about it, and what do you do with the output, you know. What we've ended up doing is for the first and the third, which is the input and output also, we've started using AI a lot. Whereas AI is best used in the middle layer, which is in terms of processing. So the human intelligence, which Edwin very rightly put, that human intelligence layer in terms of firstly knowing what you want from AI, that's very important. And then once AI generates what you're looking for, what do you do with that piece of information? And sadly, what's happening is that today, with the availability of AI at your fingertips, everybody is starting with AI from the get-go. And that's where the challenge of monetizing is happening. In fact, recently I read a joke where the Claude tokens were costing more than keeping the human back, so they kept the human back in. So the reverse AI trend has already started hitting the market. But if you ask me again from a telecom perspective, and again, I would focus maybe more on the messaging side, where on the wholesale messaging side, where we've been seeing AI come in. So there are 3-4 areas where we've seen AI help us once we are able to tell exactly what we want from it. Firstly, we've seen a lot more intelligent routing decisions come through. So we've been actively using that AI element, wherein a lot of routes are a lot of routing decisions are being taken place through a complex set of data points. What are the data points? Your past traffic analysis, what has been the profile of the vendors you're working with, a lot of the testing, constant testing you're doing, a lot of these parameters. And AI is very beautifully bringing out insights which human beings couldn't do. simply given the gigantic level of data that you were dealing with. So that's something good which we've seen. Another area where we've personally seen AI do good is in helping reduce fraud. So, well, yes, AI induced fraud is happening, but we've personally seen that we've been able to scrub a lot of the traffic which is going through our systems through certain AI tools which can actually highlight which are the ones which are possibly AIT or fraudulent, especially because today messages are coming in very innovative formats and in a lot of different languages. And that's not, again, humanly possible for one entity to be able to scrubbing through them. We've personally had incidents where we've been able to use AI very effectively to bring about that efficiency of go and not go, something which was earlier not possible. So yes, as you said rightly, I think operational efficiency personally, that's something which is coming about. And in terms of new revenues, yes, for the players which are, the focus is more wholesale, so I didn't touch on that, but at a very broad level, a lot of players, and in my erstwhile company, GMS, where I was looking into this, so there's a lot of AI-enabled conversational AI and generative AI use cases which are developing. And whether it's in terms of using voice or in terms of using text, but there's a lot which is happening in terms of new revenue sources through these new use cases. So maybe possibly not more on the wholesale side, on the retail side, on the more B2C and the B2B element, whereas this is more B2W. But on the B2B side and the B2C side, there is a lot of AI use cases, which I've seen that a lot of our players who are local in certain markets are actually starting to deploy that, and that's working well.
But still with the human intelligent element, please, on top of it, right? Yeah?
It's inevitable. You need to do that to keep control of it. Let's say AI can be a fantastic mechanism for data migration, for instance, especially now also with data sovereignty becoming an important topic, especially for the enterprise customers. And that is not necessarily impacting everybody for us, but in the messaging environment, the enterprise community insists that we store our data not longer only in the US, but it needs to be guaranteed in Europe and in other places in the world. And that is where AI can help a lot. Let's say back on the regulatory part of it, it's also exploding in the wrong way. If you see DORA, IMDA, IMS2, ISO 9001, ISO 27001, let's say I need to complete, let's say, audit team, let's say, to remain compliant with that as well. Let's say the complexity of, let's say, the processes in our organizations are, if you're not facing that, it is humongous as we speak. And that is potentially where AI can also help.
Yeah, I call it bureaucracy because, right? There is. Michael, anything to add?
I think one thing we could also add that I think hasn't been really mentioned yet is actually big data analysis, because a lot of operators, every operator in the small, big one, doesn't matter, they have huge amounts of data. They collect a lot of data about pretty much anything, location-based updates, people moving around, traffic patterns, and on all that, I think AI could help us if we put it in the right way, how we raise the question, right? Then we would get somewhat of a new product or new products based for our consumers, because we could tailor to them special, I don't know, data packages or anything of that sort based on where they live or where they travel, what their consumption level is and things of that nature. So big data is a big thing, but we're not able yet to fully, I think, understand the importance of it. And with this kind of a tool, I hope it will work like that we could create more services for people.
Let it please support, but on the other hand, it will go so fast. So, but please, everybody, keep the human intelligent, thing on it, because you might become too dependent on it, and then you might take the wrong decisions. Might, right?
It's not might, it's happening already, to be quite honest. If you look at, unfortunately, the most youngest generation entering our industry, they are coached, learned, and trained with ChatGPT, and they put everything in ChatGPT as we speak, before they send out a normal email or when they try to convince you or had to take a decision. It's completely. Are we not ending up with a generation which is in fact dumb? They trust
I was about to
completely.
say.
They trust completely what is in the systems and what is being told to them by the
No,
system.
because what is their answer? No, ChatGPT told me that. Oh, so that is the truth. The ultimate truth. It is what it is. It is right. It's not.
Critical thinking.
Yeah, but you're gonna what Edwin said.
Natalia wants to say
You,
something.
you wipe that out, please, Natalia. Sorry.
If I may add into this
Just bump
conversation.
in. Just bump in.
Okay, deal. I think we're lacking a little bit of the education on the AI part, because I thought that I'm using AI a lot. Like I've been using Claude, I've been using ChatGPT, and then our wonderful HR department decided to make a workshop 5 hours long about the AI. And it was like the entrance level. They were just explaining us what variations of AI tools we have and what we can do with them on the very basic level. And it was just amazing and tremendous. And you have this incredible tool on tips of your finger, and you're using it just to compose emails, or we're using it also for analyzing data and collecting information that helps with the time a lot. But still, there is so many and so much to explore into this area, and I believe we can use it for work, and we can use it to to sell. But it's still about the education. We need to know what we are using and how to use it properly as well.
Well, just give you a quick example, and then I come to your question. And Natalia will be so happy and to bring you the microphone. Natalia, the gentleman wants to have a quick question. Okay, so thank you so much.
Yes. Anyway, I'm not going to do that.
Is this the guy with the two nationalities again? Ah, it's him again.
What I like about that never gets old. So I think one thing that we don't consider, especially with compliance, is it's okay if you've got an internal AI model, it's ring fenced and all your data is going inside. How do you handle the situation where you have employees that use ChatGPT, Gemini, DeepSeek, whoever, and as soon as you put that information in, it becomes public domain.
Mhm.
So you now no longer own that. So obviously there needs to be compliance procedures to stop that. Sorry.
You need to start with indeed very strict policies, how to operate and how to use it. Without those policies, indeed, it can go in every direction. And you see that contracts with all kind of details are ending up in ChatGPT. Let's say we boxed everything at this moment. So that means that you have a private environment whereby, let's say sensitive information cannot be used in AI. That's just a standard policy. And let's say due to a recent acquisition with Telstar, we are also enforced, to have business continuity and disaster recovery plans in place. And one of the main chapters is indeed the use of AI. How can you protect yourselves without leaking information? Because it becomes it can become a massive topic and a security breach as is. But without policies, then you put the door right open, to be quite honest.
It'd be interesting to find out how many of your companies have policies.
By the way, it's very ironic. I think it was Amazon, if I remember correctly. They have a policy wherein they're actually measuring how many employees are actually using AI.
Mhm.
And if they're not, then they're not really up for promotion. So that was an article I read, say, about 45 days ago. And about 20 days ago, I read another article where, because of this policy, they've actually incentivized their employees to carry out mundane, repetitive tasks on AI just so that they're able to show that they've met their quota of AI usage. So, as much as what Edwin is talking about, bringing in certain levels of policies to restrict what's going through, at the same time, you have one of the largest players in the market actually incentivizing the wrong behavior. So I think it always comes down to policy either ways.
I don't think it's the wrong behavior. I think it's a training model. So that's why you encourage use, because then the machine learns. Once the machine learns, it recognizes patterns, so it needs less humans.
That's possible, but at least what I read in the article is that a lot of time of the employees is going into running a lot of unnecessary tasks which are absolutely mundane in nature. So from that perspective, I think they are increasing their cost base, even if they're training their model, but it's almost appearing garbage in, garbage out to some extent. So from that perspective, I felt that if one of the largest tech giants is actually incentivizing that behavior, then God help us all. And it's very important to actually get onto the other side of the fence and maybe focus more on the traditional way of working. And as I said earlier, that there is the 3 parts of using AI, and the only part to use is the second part. People in Amazon, for example, are using it for the first as well. And that's what's really harmful.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much. Please.
Is it a question? Can I ask?
Speak up. Speak up.
Yeah,
We're
Scott
sitting
Warner
here for you
from
guys.
Mobile Squared. I have a question that's more. We've talked a lot about AI, and it's always interesting because we're not actually an AI. It's not an AI conference. It's a telecoms conference, and it kind of reminds me of how I'm from the messaging industry specifically, and it reminds me of how we used to be an authentication business when actually we were like an SMS termination industry. And the secret was always that a one-time password is just an SMS. It's nothing special. So my question is more about: does it concern you that actually being in the telco industry, we talk about, and I'll give one example, is how we've got this brilliant growth in AI and all of this brilliant technology that's nothing to do with us, but it's really brilliant. And that's going to drive us. So we've got this RCS technology on our side that we're then making a bit of a mess of when it comes to the implementation and the rollout and all of this stuff. So like, do you think we're doing enough to actually be part of this AI growth as a telco industry? And I'm talking kind of specifically about messaging, but it might go into wider areas.
I think it's inevitable. Let's say you cannot, let's say, push this kind of, keep it outdoor. Let's say, and let's face reality. 1 year ago, in the same room, by the way, there were 2, let's say, speakers. One was myself and the other one was with a red logo, which was completely the marketing pitch of how the industry would develop. Let's say I keep my feet on the floor in the dirt because I know how sensitive our business is and how easily leakages of margins, security, fraud can happen already for 20 years or longer. It's not a surprise. And we want to keep our business as clean as possible. There where AI can help, use it, but use it in a wise way. Let's say I think many companies have started schooling. Okay, we give Copilot away for free, and let's use it in a sensible way. And of course, let's say if people then, instead of 8 hours, do it in 4 hours, fine. Award them for that, and perhaps you become more productive. So it's inevitable that this kind of market developments or technology developments will be there. Some will, let's say, position you in a positive way. And do not forget, CPaaS. Everybody believed that CPaaS would change our world. Everybody believes that RCS will change our world. I think I cannot look at the crystal ball going forward, but AI will have an impact. At least at OPEX level, I can already see it, that my OPEX is reducing. And look at companies which reduced headcount from 900 to 100 already in 1 year time, simply by using chatbots, AI, LLM agents, and whatsoever. Okay, you can have such a company. What's the human element? I don't want to work in such a company, to be quite honest.
But Scott, I think your question was slightly different if I understood correctly. I thought you were more asking that, are we going to be the flag bearers of AI? Is that something what you were trying to get towards? Because I don't think we can be. We are telecom. We are not technology up beyond a certain point.
It's also more of a kind of concern of, are we going to do enough to like capture, like to be part of this? Basically, can we make money out of this as a telco industry, or is it gonna skip us?
For sure, you're gonna save money.
Yeah, but I was thinking more. We talk about AI is going to drive loads of messaging revenue.
And
well, are we going to be the messaging channel, or is it going to be something else?
No, because if I there can increase a bit my margin by lowering my OPEX, I might have, let's say, some extra margin for the new solutions and hobbies to which I need to run through my R&D department and come with some other services which might be, the world conqueror. I don't know. So there are multiple things where AI can support us and can help us and can reduce costs for sure. On that level, I follow you immediately.
But look at new technologies. All new technologies drove our revenue downwards. Look at faulty. Look at 5G. Standalone, not standalone. It's not generating more revenues. It is changing a traditional minute in a digital minute. Gone. And we cannot invoice it. And then, surprise, surprise. Okay, we make commitments on the messaging side. We do prepayments on the messaging side. Oh, we cannot deliver. Let's trash the message. Let's say, think wisely and look at our own trend and behavior, what we did in the industry.
But again, as I said, that if you're asking, can we generate revenue? I made a point earlier that on the wholesale side, I don't think we will. But on the retail side, not B2W, but B2B. And where it's important is identifying the right use cases. Because with the advent of AI, I think there is, again, a humongous number of use cases and very few users. Just yesterday, I was seeing a graphic where it was that pre-AI era, there were few people who were giving ideas and more people executing it and more people using it. But after AI, almost everybody is generating ideas. Few people are executing it, and there is hardly anybody left to use it. So, you have humongous number of AI use cases without users. That's the entire fallacy of this situation. So I still feel, Scott, personally, that if you are able to identify the right use cases and not bring in AI for AI's sake, then for those right use cases, the companies on the ground who are directly working with enterprises, something that Eric mentioned, that are you listening to your customer? So the ones who are actually dealing with the users, the ones who are dealing with the builders for the users and not the wholesale industry. So those players definitely are finding relevant use cases where AI is augmenting their revenue.
Well, I can tell you something. Sometimes what I do as a hobby, I teach people, as a guest professor at the university, sometimes 3-4 times a year. I go do 2-3 hours. Ask the universities how they cope with AI. They have an issue. Trust me, a big one. All the professors, they need more time, 2 or 3 times more, to check if it's AI on the thesis, yes or not. Trust me, they have a big issue. So let's use it sensible. Let's get some rules in place and make sure that we still keep on determining what to do and how to do it and how to use it, and let it remain a tool. Let us remain in charge. Anyway, moving on a little bit, guys. Moving on, because otherwise AI will be the thingy. And you're right, Scott, because it's not. We're talking about the global wholesale here in the transformation era, and things are transforming, and especially on the opportunities and challenges that we see, not only for the mobile operators but also for the service providers here in the wholesale. And you mentioned already the eSIM, Edwin. But Sonia, I want to come to you. What opportunities and challenges are there for the MNOs in leveraging on IoT and eSIM technology? How do you fix it with Sparkle?
Oh, okay. No, I think the key message with this question is enable. So IoT and the SIM enable a new model business. If you think before, we have a truck, one SIM, and connectivity. Okay. After, with IoT, we have trucks, connectivity, predictive maintenance for the truck, navigation. So we
Gasoline for the truck, maybe.
Oh, yes.
It's a bit expensive nowadays, but
yes.
that's good. We'll get that covered.
And all these type of using of connectivity is enabling a new business model.
All right.
And for Sparkle, we develop a solution for the final customer as a service. For example, we sell eSIM for a product as a service.
Okay. Edwin, for you on the eSIM, I mean, you invested in that, especially in the Netherlands, I know from the past. It's catching up. How does it push, let's say, the profits in your portfolio? Does it? Or does it
Yes.
start to?
No, it does. But it took a long, let's say, takeoff. The runway was long, to be quite honest. And why? Because companies, we acquired Symphony a couple of years ago. It was a Dutch IoT company. It's now completely integrated in the business of iBasis. And it was a strange animal, because you had a CMP platform and the processes were different, the billing was different, everything with respect to and compared to voice was different. But let's say embracing it, let's say putting the right profiles on the right SIMs, let's say, but at the same time finding, let's say, the distributors who are, let's say, dividing the opportunities in the market. Of course, we all know that the automotive industry was a big, let's say, embracer of IoT. Each car has at least 6 SIMs in the car, which will transport data across the globe. And let's say, but look at the companies which are using other parts to reach that market and bring SIMs into the world. Let's say the travel SIM, I think everybody has it now. You're not paying full-time roaming anymore when you are abroad. Okay, in Europe it's roam like home, but in other parts of the world you can still be messed up with a bill shock if you do not pay attention on your data roaming. But okay, you scan the QR code, you activate your second SIM, and there you go. Okay, so the roaming revenues from the MNOs are impacting. It is not longer a discussion about permanent roaming anymore. It's about protecting the cost and the revenue of the inbound and outbound roaming. So the world has changed. So yes, it took us a long way. We are making profit now. It is growing in combination with the right distributors going forward. And your reputation and having the ability that you can store, let's say, the right profile on your SIM. Without the profile, let's say you are very limited, to be quite honest. You need global coverage.
Okay, cool. Anything to add from you guys?
Multi-MZ solutions. Pretty, at least it's a workaround now, but of course for the future it would be nice to see if you have a global connectivity, then this global connectivity is not dependent on a local provider somehow. But that's like a wishful thinking.
You want to throw some curveballs?
But the interesting part is we are now becoming the first independent roaming office. Since with the acquisition of Bouygues Telecom, we are also acquired their roaming, let's say, organization, which is completely new and independent. We are now negotiating the roaming rates worldwide. So that will be very interesting to see on the WAS how they will treat us going forward, because we have accessibility to a lot of roaming traffic.
Me and you have to talk a lot about this afterwards. I'm really interested.
I just have one point to add out
Yes,
here,
please,
especially because of IoT and M2M. Again, I keep bringing back the messaging angle, which I'm more conversant with. But this field of IoT and M2M is also acting as a revenue generator on the A2P messaging side. And that's something which we can't ignore with the onset of IoT, as Edwin put it, that now we're finally seeing IoT adoption increase. I think we are seeing good levels of genuine volume increases for operators who are actually enabling these. And at this point of time, what's very important is Scott's left the room, but he made a very valid point. He said that RCS, for example, is becoming big, but we are again falling out when it comes to the implementation. I think right now we are at that cusp where IoT is growing, and M2M revenues from an A2P messaging perspective can actually go up if operators are able to grab this opportunity rather than treat it like a plain vanilla messaging increase. And what I mean by that is there are a number of use cases for specific verticals. You can have assurance-based messaging. You can have different use cases where you can actually charge a premium in the market for certain IoT and M2M services. And I feel that's something which the operators are yet not capitalizing. And if you're able to go in that direction at the right time, you will be able to unlock certain value. There is literally money lying on the table, which you're ignoring because you're treating this as just another plain vanilla A2P messaging use case. So I feel there is an opportunity out there which can be unlocked, especially from a wholesale perspective.
Okay, cool. Let's move on. Because we still have 8 minutes, 24, 23, 22, 21. Here we go.
And you were afraid that we would not make a 1 hour.
I was not afraid, but I was. Let's see. You know, it was
Nobody,
more,
nobody is asleep.
putting a challenge to it. You know, huh? That's always turn around.
And when their eyes are open, you don't know whether they are asleep or not. Very
That's
different
true.
things.
That's true.
You're right.
Some people can, yeah. I couldn't. I just need to close my eye. Anyway. On the billing side, because we can improve there as well. Sonia, so what's the strategy for effective billing and charging and let's say the IoT ecosystem?
I would like to give you a concrete example because of
Give us the example.
okay. The billing before is for data consumption because we have one person, one SIM, data, voice, consumption, one monthly bill. It's very simple. But in this case, in IoT model is not possible. The traditional billing is not applying with the IoT because if we think about the car connected, for example, we have the navigation before and so on. Now we have several type of data, not only the consumption. So we have to adapt the billing to the business model, and so this means that the billing is a part of the product itself. So we have to charging for the purpose of the customer. If you think for eSIM, for example, Sparkle sell the eSIM if and bill the SIM if you active the SIM or not active the SIM. So it's a very flexibility the billing in the new world, the new connectivity product is not as before. This is my
Okay, cool. Coming back on the IoT and the current state of the global IoT connectivity, how are the IoT players actually addressing the demand for the global IoT connectivity? Anyone? Edwin again? No?
Michael.
I can
Mike,
speak
Dijk.
from some of my experience with our customers
Yeah?
that
Go.
a lot of them are trying to have the global connectivity due to the fact that the nature of business of their customers is really different. So I mean, we're talking about the fleet management, that's one thing. It can be open in EU or something, that's one thing. Then we have I don't know, cargo ships that are going around the Africa region, and then that's another thing. Many different types, and what they're all requiring is that the connectivity has to be global. Hopefully it has to be unified in your perspective, right? So this is something we can talk about, and right now it's only solved with the multi-IMSI solution, unfortunately, and somewhere it's all price related, somewhere it's billing driven. There is no like a golden key at the moment, I think, but we're getting there.
All right. In the global wholesale, quickly in our previous panel just before lunch, we were talking about partnerships. Remember? And how important they are, and what we need to do, and to go beyond just saying that we need to, do more partnerships and so on, but actually do something. Natalia, if you want to bump in, do innovative business and partnership models arise? Do you see that around you, and or do we need to redefine it, or what's the approach we should have?
Also depends on the type of the partnerships you're talking about.
Well, I got divorced twice, so let's not go there, but that's a different story.
Okay.
Just to make a point here.
So from our perspective, we are partnering with the mobile operators. That is the core of the business. That is what we started, how we're going forward, what we're doing. the same time, we need to partner with the clients and with the enterprises. And in some cases where we cannot reach those enterprises that we need to deliver what we promised to the mobile operator, we're partnering with a third party, with some key players, with another company like ourselves on the market. I believe that our business is built around partnerships. Overall, we're built around extroverted people who enjoy communication, who enjoy talking, who enjoy being around people. And if you remember the COVID times, those were hard. Like, you know, sitting at home, no conferences, no talking, no chatting. But partnerships are a key in our business, and the stronger those partnerships are, the more we invest our time and invest our trust in it, the stronger we become, the stronger we get. And moving forward, that's a very important thing to do. I answer your question.
More than
Very good.
anybody
Thank you.
who wants to add to this? No?
Let's say that business is done firstly between people and then after that between businesses. So if we all have mutual understanding and the goals that we want to achieve, then the business comes right after on top of that as a value added service, I would say, where everybody benefits. So first of all, we have to talk. So talking is the first key. So I totally agree.
Okay. All right. Wrapping up a little bit, guys, and if I may take you on the ride to not to predict the future, but to what do you think, Michael? And if I may stay with you, and I'll do the round. What latest developments do you see, and or what is there to expect?
In general, I would think that the larger MNOs have to become more widespread in terms of the services that they offer. This is how I see it. Besides the connectivity itself, that's what I mean. So answering the needs of the end customers who want them now. This is how I see it. Maybe like a widespread of additional VIS services that customers require, at least from my downhill perspective, maybe like that.
All right, Edwin, what should we look out for?
No, I think we mentioned already in the beginning. I think consolidation is inevitable. That's one. Second is we need to innovate. Let's say the drive to innovate is key, let's say, for the continuation, but also for the future of our business. And that's in multiple areas. Embracing AI, or whether it is VoLTE or 5G or 6G in the future, RCS, it doesn't matter. I think it's also important, let's say, to make the bridge with the hyperscalers smaller. I think the hyperscalers, do not forget, they paid a significant part of our business at the time we were asking 25 cents for an SMS termination. And they did not complain about that. They started to complain as soon as they figured out, holy fuck, I'm being fucked by the telco industry.
He just mentioned rucked, you know.
Okay, sorry. But that is, let's say, so it's inevitable that, let's say, to have a good relationship with the hyperscalers. And finally, it's all about people. People and trust, but also adding and bringing in the young generation, the new ideas from the universities. Let's say the people who are challenging us, let's say, the dinosaurs of the industry. And of course, we have a lot of experience, but I love to be channeled by the youngsters who tell me, you're wrong. We have a new app, or we have this, or we have that, and it can bring gazillion amounts of new revenue to the table. So yeah, still playing chess on a multi-dimensional chess game, to be quite honest. And it doesn't bore me at all. That's the good part, Eric.
Yeah, but you know, we only have we don't count the years in decades anymore. It's now the single-handed years we need to count as dinosaurs, and then we can leave the keys on the table. And trust me, they will grab it, and that's a good thing. The youngsters, Natalia, your takeaway for the audience.
My takeaway, well, let's do partnerships.
No, well done, well done.
I agree.
You agree?
Yeah.
Some famous last words from your side, my dear friend.
So I run a podcast called Humans of Telecom. So the human element here was quite endearing and, like music to my eyes, music to my ears.
Yeah.
But I think we covered a lot of aspects. And what I finally feel is that the consolidation element combined with partnerships is what will play a key role. Sadly, as much as we keep trying to hit on the fact that operators need to innovate, they need to forward integrate and yada, yada, yada. But eventually the operators are built in a manner that they are not able to. They are actually the real dinosaurs that you're talking about, not you guys.
Uh-huh.
But what the operators need to do is they need to trust the experts. And the iBasis Telstra example, for example, is a perfect testimony to that. That bring in the experts, let them take over the parts which are not your core elements. Let them innovate. Let them bring in that additional revenue value through AI, for example, something that Scott was touching upon. So you need to bring in the right players who know the market. You need to build in effective partnerships. The right humans need to build those partnerships together, and we need to let that consolidation happen in a timely manner. It's an eventuality anyways, but if you're able to realize it sooner, you might just have a greater say on the table and be able to play it out better, or else you'll eventually be on the receiving side anyways. So just wake up to it now.
So the message is wake up. We just heard it. Thank you so much, audience, for being here. We need to wrap it up because the number's already 000. Eric, stop it now. That's on my screen here. So I would like to thank you, Sonia. Thank you so much, Natalia. Edwin, my friend, and Michael, thank you so much. Please stay tuned because we have one more panel to go today, Natalia, I think. One more? Okay, one more time. And we're gonna do it. But thank you so much. And is there anything that you could take away? Please, these people are walking around, so please talk to them. They're more than happy to answer your questions and guide you through, especially as dinosaurs, guide you through the world. So thank you so much. Stay tuned and see you soon.
Thank you.